Good morning. Welcome to Flow with Lo yoga practice. Today we're going to have a nice gentle flow that focuses on mobility and stretching and just feeling good, waking yourself up for the day, or even ending your day with a nice relaxing stretch. I want to remind you that this yoga class is for you wherever you are, whether you're in nature like I am, whether you're on a mat or a blanket, or whether you're on your living room floor and you're just watching me on your TV. I hope that you'll remember to be kind to yourself, to not compare yourself to anybody else, and to do what feels good for you. We'll go ahead and get started in a nice comfy position, whether that's sitting like I am with your legs crossed, you can lay down, whatever. And we're going to close our eyes as long as you feel safe doing so. We're going to bring some deep inhales in through our nose and out through our mouth. Calming our nervous system. On the end of those exhales, we're going to try to forcefully push all that air out. So our next inhale can be clean and fresh. However you're sitting or laying, making sure that our spine and posture is nice and straight. Relaxing all those muscles in our face. Softening our eyes, unclenching our jaw. Let your tongue float down off the roof of your mouth. We're going to go ahead and set our intention for the day or for your class, for this yoga session. Maybe you're wanting this time to yourself. Maybe you're wanting to decompress. Maybe you're wanting a good stretch, or maybe you're wanting a mixture of all of it. Whatever your intention is, we're going to inhale it, breathe it in, along with all the things we're grateful for. And as we exhale, we're going to blow all of our stresses away, anything that we could let go of, anything that's getting in the way of us having this time to ourselves. Taking one more calming breath before we start some motions. On your next inhale, we're going to shrug our shoulders up towards our ears. And as you exhale, we're going to roll them back and down. We'll do it about 3 or 4 times. Relieving any stress we're feeling in our shoulders, any tension we're feeling in our back from bad posture, maybe some stress. We'll go one more, really spreading our chest. Those exhales, rolling our shoulders back. And then we'll come back down to a neutral position. We're going to bring our hands out to our knees. And on your next inhale, we're going to spread our chest. Use our hands to pull our chest forward, press our shoulders back. And as you exhale, we're going to let our spine fold back, sinking down, using our hands on our knees to go just as far as we can go. On your next inhale, coming back forward. These are seated cat-cows. Exhaling, coming back. We're going to do a couple of them. Now you can keep going back and forth like we're doing now. Or you can start to stir the pot. Kind of taking your torso in a circle. Still using your hands on your knees to give you a little bit of a foundation and a range of motion. Switching sides after a couple. And then we'll come back to a neutral spine after this last one. And now we're going to bring our left hand to our heart. And we're going to bring our right hand out to the ground out beside of us. And then we're going to pull our left ear down towards that left shoulder. And with that right hand, we're going to walk our fingers out, taking them just as far as we can go, keeping our spine nice and straight, and keeping our fingertips on the ground. Remembering that if at any point you want to close your eyes, that helps you to connect to the muscles more, feel free to do so. Our goal here is to feel a good stretch going over our shoulder, up our neck, relieve that tension and stress we feel in those muscles. Feeling those deep breaths under that left hand. We'll take one more. And then we're going to lean into that right hand and we're going to bring our left arm up and over to an intense side stretch. Hopefully not too intense. We're going to send our breaths into that left side. Noticing if you feel a little bit of a more intense stretch with that inhale. One more breath. And on your next inhale, rise and back up. And we're going to bring our left hand to the ground. Bring our right hand to our heart. We're going to pull our right ear down towards that right shoulder. With that left hand, we're going to walk it out to the left. Keeping our spine straight. And going out just as far as you can go until you can feel that stretch. You want to be reaching until you can feel that stretch, but keeping your spine nice and straight. Now in this pose, you can always bring your chin further out to the right rather than your ear. You can kind of play with where you put your chin, see what feels good for you. And we'll take one more deep breath here. And then we're going to bring that we're going to lean into that left hand, We're going to bring our right hand up and over. Keeping that right sitting bone on the ground, not letting that right hip pull up. Trying to get that stretch from our hip all the way up our arm. Sending one more breath in. Then on your next inhale, we're going to rise back up and let that exhale out. And on your next inhale, we're going to bring our arms straight up above our head. You can reach your palms up nice and high. You can feel free to gaze up a little if that feels comfortable on your neck. And then we're going to twist to the right to bring that left hand outside that right knee. And we're going to look over that right shoulder as long as that feels okay on your neck. This is Sage's pose. Getting that spinal twist. It's really important for us to send our breath deep on these spinal twists. That's what helps compress our organs. Our lungs press up against our other organs in our spine and brings some circulation down. One more breath. And then on your next inhale, we're going to bring our arms straight up above our head again. Exhaling and bringing that right hand to that left knee. Twisting to the left. Looking over that left shoulder as long as that feels comfortable once again. Listening to our body, sending our breaths nice and deep. Using those breaths to elongate our spine. Take one more breath here in Sage's pose. And then we're going to bring our arms back up on our next inhale. And then we're going to bring our right hand down to that left elbow. And then we're going to use that right hand to pull that left arm to the right side. Keeping our left hip on the ground. Our goal is to feel a stretch in that lat right underneath our underarm and our shoulder. And on your next inhale, we're going to rise back up, straighten our arms out, reaching nice and high, and switching sides, bringing that left hand down to that right elbow. Pull into the left. Keeping that right sitting bone down. One more breath. Next inhale, rising back up. Exhaling, rainbowing down. Now we're going to come to bring our feet together, make a little diamond with our legs. Into frog pose. I like to call them butterflies too. Butterfly your little butterfly wings. And if you don't want to butterfly them and flap your little wings, you can also just press your knees towards the ground. You're going to get the same benefits. This is to open our hips up, relieve some tension from that lower back. And on your next inhale, we're going to sit up nice and tall, spread our chest. And as you exhale, we're going to fold forward, reaching our head towards our feet. Just as far as you're okay with going, we're going to feel this in our hips. So listen to that tension in your hips. Don't sell yourself short. Go just deep enough to feel some tension release, but we don't want to feel any pain. In yoga, we do not overachieve. We're going to do what feels right for our body. Take one more breath. And on your next inhale, rise and back up. Great. Now we're going to come to land on our back, and we're going to hug our knees into our chest. I'm going to turn sideways for you. Now we'll hug our knees up to our chest. We're going to squeeze them in. You can have your knees together. You can pull them apart, whatever feels good for you. And you can just stay here and hug your knees into your chest. Take some time to look up, especially if you're in nature. So many things to look up, too. And you can stay here, or if you want, you can rock back and forth. You don't have to let your knees fall all the way to the sides. You could just do a small little gentle rock, or you can always roll back and forth. We'll take 2 more breaths here. I see a June bug. Now we're going to rise back up to the middle if you're rocking, and we're going to release our knees, and we're going to let them fall out to the sides, and we're going to grab the outsides of our feet. Now if it doesn't feel comfortable to reach to the outsides of your feet, you can grab your ankles wherever on your legs that you can reach. And same thing with this one. If you want to stay still and just kind of tug on your feet, you can, or you can rock back and forth. This is happy baby pose. Taking a couple deep breaths. I really hope that with my mic you can still hear these nature sounds, because the birds are doing their thing. And bugs. We'll take one more breath. And then we're going to release our feet. And we're going to lower down. Now we're going to come to having our right leg flat on the ground, and we're going to hug our left knee into our chest. And then we're going to take that left knee and we're going to move it in a circle. Like we're giving that left hip a little massage. And pressing right outside your normal range of motion. Again, we don't want to sell ourselves short. We want to get a stretch out of this, but you don't want to feel any pain. We want to feel good, feel an opening. And now we're going to bring our left arm out into a T, out by our side with our palm down. And with that right hand, we're going to pull our left knee to the right side, keeping our left shoulder planted to the ground. If it tries to pull up, send our breaths deep. This is a supine twist. So we only want to take that right knee as far as we can go, keeping that left shoulder on the ground. And then with our head, we can look out to the left, as long as that feels comfortable on your neck. And let our spine twist all the way up. We'll take 2 more breaths. On your next inhale, we're going to rise back up to the middle. And then we're going to cross our left leg over our right one. And we're going to slowly hug that right knee into our chest. And I say slowly because you are going to start feeling that tension in that left hip. This is called figure 4. This is probably my favorite stretch for your hips. Sending our breath deep. I like to think of my breath running all the way down into that left hip, and grabbing that tension and pulling it out with our exhales. And if you feel that tension release, you can pull that right knee in a little closer. Again, not selling yourself short, but also not putting yourself in pain. Being respectful to your body. We'll take 1 more breath. And then we're going to release that right leg back down to the ground. And now we're going to lay our left leg down. Now, I don't think I said it on the other side, but you can have that left leg bent if you need to, if this bothers your hip, for it to be flat. Whichever you like. It's not going to change your stretch. We're going to hug that right knee into our chest now. And then with our hand, we'll move that right knee in a circle. Both directions, press them right outside our normal range. And then we're going to bring our right arm out into a T out by our side. And with our left hand, we'll pull that right knee to the left side to a supine twist, keeping our right shoulder planted to the ground. Only going as far as you can, keeping your shoulder down. And with our head, we'll look out to the right. Sending our breath deep, remembering that those deep breaths are what really lock in the benefits of that spinal twist. Taking 1 more breath. On your next inhale, we're going to rise back up to the center. And then we're going to take that right leg, cross it over our left one, and then we'll slowly hug that left knee into our chest. To our figure 4 again. Feeling it in that right hip this time. Sending our breaths deep, releasing that tension. Feeling our spine nice and long on the ground. Now on your next exhale, we're going to release that left leg, bringing both our feet down to the ground. Now we're going to bring our arms down by our sides, our feet to the ground with our knees bent. We're going to take a nice big inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to press our hips up to the sky, pulling our chest up to our chin, and squeezing our glutes, squeezing those backside muscles, and letting the front side stay nice and soft. Disengaging those muscles we don't need. Sending our breaths deep. We'll take 1 more, remembering you can come out of any pose that we're holding too long. Judgment free. Now we're going to lower back down. Now we're going to stay in this position with our arms down by our sides. And now we're going to pick up both our feet and we're going to reach them up towards the sky. I like to think of pressing my heels up to the sky. This is working our abs a little. This is legs up the wall pose. Our last one was bridge pose. I'm sorry I didn't tell you guys. You can always put your hands on the back of your legs if you start to use a little too much abs, you're wanting it to be a little more restful. This pose has tons of benefits. Aids in digestion, circulation, spider veins, gives you energy, even if you can do it for a couple minutes a day. But here we're just going to do it for about 2 more breaths. One more. Then we're going to lower our legs back down. Now we're going to flip over onto our hands and knees. Into a nice tabletop. Now we're going to start having our knees right under our hips, our wrists right under our shoulders. And we're going to take a nice big inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to press our mat away from us. Press our spine up to the sky. Tucking our chin to our chest, tucking our pelvis under. Taking one more breath. I'd like you to feel the pose before we start flowing it with our breath. Then on your next inhale, we're going to let our belly drop, turn our chin up, press our pelvis back. Using that inhale to stretch our torso, stretch our abs. We'll take one more breath here. This is cow pose. And then on your next exhale, we're going to press our spine back up to the sky. We're going to start flowing this with our breath. So every exhale, coming up into cat. Every inhale, dropping down into cow. I remember it by you using those inhales to help you stretch your abs. And like you're using your hips to press that exhale out. We're going to do 2 more in each pose. 2 more breaths. And then we're going to come back down to a neutral tabletop after that last one. We're going to straighten our body out, kind of bringing our weight out over our wrists, keeping our knees on the ground. And taking a nice big inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to sit back onto our feet. Straightening our arms and spine out, lowering our head and chest. These are active child's pose. So we can, on our inhale, come back forward. Exhale, pushing back, flowing it with your breath. And you can just go back and forth. Or you can even take your hips in like a circle. Roll it in a circle. I like going to one side as I come back, the other side as I come forward, switching sides. Or directions, I guess. We'll take one more breath. Waking up all those joints, getting some motion in. And then we're going to come back up to a neutral tabletop whenever you're ready. And now we're going to come to standing up on our knees. Now, if you ever need extra cushion underneath any of your joints or your hands, your wrists, anything, you can always double fold your mat if you have a mat, or you can even put a blanket underneath, a pillow, a block, whatever you have convenient for you that will lighten that load on your joints. So we'll be standing on our knees. We're going to bring our left foot out to the left of us. And we're going to point that left toe out to the left. You can start out by having a little bend in your knee if you'd like. That's going to make it a little less intense. You're not going to be dropping down so far. Or if you're comfortable, you can straighten that left leg completely out. Now we're going to bring our hands to heart center. Take a nice big inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to put a bend in that left knee. Sink down into our hips. Noticing where you feel this. If you feel it in that left hip, those left leg muscles more, if you're feeling it in that right hip more. They're both getting a little stretch. Taking one more breath. On your next inhale, rising back up. Straightening that left leg out. We're going to bring our left hand down to that left leg, and we're going to slide it down just to a point where you feel comfortable, keeping our shoulders squared to the front, and bringing our right arm up and over. Into gate pose. It's one of my favorites. One more breath. On your next inhale, rise and back up. Now we're going to bring that left leg in. We're going to bring our right leg out to the right. And we'll bring our hands to heart center again, taking a nice big inhale. As you exhale, sinking into that right leg, dropping into our hips, and engaging that right leg just enough that you don't go too far into your hips. You want this to feel good. Taking 2 more breaths here. Next inhale, we're going to rise back up, straightening that right leg. We're going to bring our right hand down to that right leg and slide it down just as far as you're comfortable with. Bringing our left arm up and over. Squaring our shoulders to the front. I love the stretch this gives you. I always feel it right here, right above my hip. Notice where you feel it. Create that mind-body connection. Taking one more breath. On your next inhale, rising back up. And bringing that right leg back in. Now we're going to bring our feet underneath us and our knees up. You can keep your hands on the ground if you'd like, or you can bring them to heart center, whichever you prefer. And come into a frog squat. We're going to take a couple breaths here. One more. On your next inhale, we're going to rise up to standing. Now we're going to come into mountain pose. We're going to bring our feet about hip distance apart, and we're going to really focus on driving into the 4 corners of our feet. My first yoga instructor used to always say to lift your toes up and really feel the 4 corners of your feet, the outsides of the balls of your feet, the outsides of the heels, and then let those toes come back down. Just hang like feathers there for balance. We're going to open our chest up. I like to open my palms up. You don't have to. And take a nice big inhale. This pose symbolizes being grounded, being firm in your beliefs. We want to think of little roots growing out of our feet. If I came over and pushed on you, it'd be really hard to move. You're super sturdy. On your next inhale, we're going to bring our arms straight up above our head to nice and high into upward facing hands. I'm going to take one more breath. And as you exhale, we're going to fold forward, reaching our hands towards our feet. Just letting our neck and head hang. And this is a forward fold. Taking one more deep breath here. And on your next inhale, we're going to walk our hands to the outside of that right foot. Hopefully you can feel a good stretch in that lat and your left side. We're going to walk our hands to the outside of that right foot. Letting that right side stretch. Taking one more breath. And then we'll come back to the middle for one more breath. Now on your next inhale, we're going to walk our hands and feet out, and we're going to come into a high plank like we're about to do a push-up. Squeeze in our core. Taking one more breath. I know this is a harder one. And on your next inhale, we're going to lower our body down to the ground. Great. And then on your next inhale, we're going to straighten our arms out. Lift that top half of our body up. Lifting our ears up away from our shoulders. Into cobra pose. Now, if this doesn't feel good on your lower back, you can always bring your hands a little further out, or you can even come down into sphinx pose on your forearms. You're still going to get the benefits of that back bend. I'm working up to what we can do. We'll take one more breath. Now on your next inhale, we're going to tuck our toes under, and we're going to lift our hips up and back into a downward dog. Here we want to really drive in through our feet and our hands like we're pressing our mat away from us again. You can even alternate pedaling your heels back and forth, straightening each leg, warming up to that stretch in the back side of our legs. And pressing our hips nice and high, like we're pressing our tummy against our thighs. And on your next inhale, we're going to kick that left leg straight up and back, just as far as you can lift it. And then we're going to step it through to meet our hands. And come into a low lunge, lowering that back knee to the ground. Now here we're going to have that left foot right underneath that left knee. Your back knee can be further back like mine, or it can be a little further up, and that's going to lighten that intensity, whatever you choose for your level. So we're going to keep our right hand on the ground, and on your next inhale, we're going to bring our left arm straight up in the air. Twisting towards that left knee. This is twisted bow pose. Now if you get here and it feels uncomfortable, it doesn't feel natural, try bringing that right hand a little further out to the right. Sometimes you just need a little more space to twist. Taking one more breath. After that breath, we're going to bring our left hand back down, and we're going to rise up onto our knee. Take a nice deep breath, engage your core for balance, steady your gaze on something. And on your next inhale, we're going to bring our arms straight up above our head into crescent pose. Take a nice deep breath. We'll take one more. Then we're going to bring our hands down to heart center. And we're going to twist our body to the left. And if it feels comfortable, you can bring that right elbow down on that left knee into revolved crescent. Here we're going to focus on keeping our chest nice and wide, keeping our ears up away from our shoulders. We want them to be sunk down. Make sure we keep our spine nice and straight in that twist. Taking one more breath. And then we're going to twist back to the front. And we're going to bring our hands back down to either side of that left foot. And we're going to tuck those back toes under. Lift that back knee up off the ground. We're going to keep our right hand on the ground again. And we're going to bring that left arm straight up in the air into that twisted bow, but in a high lunge this time. Take a nice deep breath. We'll take one more. This is a challenging one. And we're going to bring that left hand back down. Lower our back knee down. And then we're going to take that left foot and we're going to walk it to the right side of our mat or blanket for me today. And we're going to let our knee fall down into pigeon pose. Now there's a few versions of this, a few variations. You can stay here and just standard pigeon, or you could come down onto your forearms into sleeping pigeon. I find in my classes most people love sleeping pigeon the most. I like to go back and forth. And then for our more advanced or just more flexible students, you could also pull that right foot up towards and grab it and get that quad stretch into king pigeon. I'm going to take one more breath here. Then whenever you're ready, we're going to roll over onto that right hip, bring that right leg back, and we're going to come back up onto our hands and knees. You can stay here if you'd rather it be a little more restful, or whenever you're ready, you can press back up into a downward dog. Keeping a nice wide base, driving our hands and feet into the ground. We'll take one more breath. And then on your next inhale, we're going to kick our right leg straight up and back to our three-legged dog, then stepping it through to meet our hands. Lowering our back knee down. And now we're going to keep our left hand on the ground. And on your next inhale, we're going to bring that right arm straight up in the air to our twisting bow pose again. Remembering that if it feels unnatural, you can bring that left hand a little further out to the left. Give yourself a little more space. One more breath. And then we're going to bring that right hand back down. Whenever you're ready, we're going to rise up onto our knee. Balancing, steadying our gaze on something still, engaging our core to keep our balance. On your next inhale, we'll bring our arms straight up above our head again. Now we're in crescent pose, thinking of that back side of our body making a crescent. One more breath. And we're going to bring our hands down to heart center. Twist our body to the right, bringing that left elbow outside that right knee as long as that feels comfortable on your spine. Remembering to keep our spine nice and straight. Pull our ears up away from our shoulders. Taking one more breath. And we'll twist back to the front. Bringing our hands down to either side of that right foot again. And we're going to tuck our back toes under, lifting that back knee up off the ground. Now we're going to keep our left hand on the ground. You can always use a block underneath your hands in any of these poses. And on your next inhale, we're going to keep our left hand on the ground or on a block, and we're going to bring that right arm straight up in the air. This is a harder one, like I said. We'll take two more breaths. You got this. Lowering down after that last breath. We're going to take our right foot, walk it to the left side of the mat, and let our knee fall down into pigeon pose. Using whatever variation you like. Going between the three if you'd like to. Taking this pose to bow at our own feet. And to remember why we do yoga, what your purpose, what your reason is. Sending one more deep breath into that hip. And whenever you're ready, we'll roll over onto that right hip, bring that right leg back, and we're going to come back up onto our hands and knees one last time for our last pose of the day. We're going to spread our knees to about the width of the mat, and we're going to sit back onto our feet, lowering our head and chest to the ground, into child's pose. Another option for this pose, if this bothers your knees or your hips, is to keep your knees a little closer together, your hips a little higher, and still bring your head and chest to the ground. In the playful puppy pose. Whichever you choose, sending those breaths all the way down your spine. Using this pose to thank our bodies for all they do for us, for being able to move in ways that make us feel good, and for being able to do things for ourselves that change our mindset for the rest of the day. We'll take a couple more breaths here, remembering that you can always pause this video if you'd like to stay here just a little longer. Whenever you're ready, rise back up. And we'll end our practice with the word that means the light in me sees and honors the light in all of you. Namaste.